that he was strong. I can't say enough about him. As far as I'm concerned, pound for pound, Terence Crawford is the best on the planet as we speak right now.
Stephen A. Smith didn't waste a second. He came out hot, his voice cutting through the noise like only he can. Terence Crawford didn't ask for a catchweight. He didn't want concessions. He came up to 168 because that's where the belts were. He wanted what Canelo had, and he came to take it.
Kovalev's not even committing to the...
Here it is. Kovalev's hurt. Kovalev's down. Kovalev's out. It's over. That fast. There's fifth gear. Canelo is...
That right there set the tone for everything. It wasn't about size, it wasn't about age, it wasn't about excuses. Crawford looked at the mountain everyone said was too high, strapped on his gloves, and said, "Leave the peak untouched, I'm climbing it. No shortcuts, no safety nets." From the opening bell, the energy was different. The way Crawford carried himself, you could almost feel him saying, "I'm not here to play safe, I'm here to prove I belong exactly where the danger lives." And that's what Stephen A. hammered home. Most fighters, when they chase a fight with a superstar like Canelo, they try to tilt the table. They negotiate to pull the champion down a few pounds. They push for neutral ground, not Crawford. Crawford's decision to step into Canelo's house at 168 was the single defining choice that made this more than just a boxing match. It was a test of willpower, a challenge to history itself. Stephen A. put it bluntly, he didn't want Canelo weaker. He wanted Canelo at his strongest because only then could this win mean what it was supposed to mean. Legacy. And when that bell rang, Crawford didn't look like a man borrowing time in a heavier division. He looked like he was collecting rent. His jab was sharp, his footwork deliberate, and every exchange told you he wasn't here to survive, he was here to dictate. That's what made the first round so telling. It was Crawford waiting to see if he belonged. It was Crawford showing that he always had. Stephen A. leaned into that point. This wasn't just another fight to pad the record. Crawford came in undefeated, yes, 41 wins, no losses, 31 knockouts. But the risk wasn't about numbers, the risk was about reputation. If he lost, critics would say he never should have come up here. If he won, they'd have to say he's one of the greatest of his era. And now, after 12 rounds that rewrote the script, everyone had to deal with the truth. Crawford wanted it, asked for it, and took it on terms nobody else had the courage to demand. And that's why Stephen A. kept repeating it, his voice rising with that mix of disbelief and admiration. He came to take it. He came to take it. Where Stephen A. brings the thunder, Max Kellerman brings the scalpel. And when he looked at what happened between Crawford and Canelo, he broke it down with that sharp, surgical perspective fans know so well. For Max, this wasn't just about punches landed or rounds won. This was about mindset. Look at what confident fighters do, Max said.
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter, and I would assume he could maintain that advantage going into this fight.
When they're really built for greatness, they don't worry about size, they don't worry about speed, they don't worry about power. They go find the biggest challenge available and they walk straight into it. That, he argued, was the difference. For years, Kellerman reminded everyone no one lined up to call out Bud Crawford. Not in his prime, not in the weight classes he ruled, not even as he climbed the rankings. He was the fighter who existed in that shadow space, too risky to face, too dangerous to mention. Floyd Mayweather never said his name. Neither did the other welterweight elites when Crawford was tearing through divisions.
The reason they're sort of trying to come up with reasons why Earl Spence didn't perform as well as they thought he was going to. But I think you just have to say Terence Crawford is that good.
Yeah.
I think he's just that good. And I think we found that. It doesn't mean that Errol Spence isn't amazing. He is. But I think Terence Crawford, I think you're looking at an all-time great.
Yeah.
I really do.
He was the man avoided, not pursued. And now he was the man stepping up into Canelo's backyard. That contrast wasn't lost on Max. He said it plain. Crawford didn't just move up in weight, he moved up in challenge, and he looked comfortable doing it. Max zeroed in on what made it possible. Crawford's style isn't built on brute force, it's built on adaptability, intelligence, and what fighters call ring IQ. He can fight orthodox or southpaw, he can switch gears mid-round. He doesn't chase knockouts, he manufactures them when opponents crack under pressure. Against Canelo, he used those tools like a master craftsman. And that's where Max's analysis dug into the heart of the matter. Size didn't win that fight. Skill did, confidence did, preparation did, and most of all mindset did. Crawford didn't care that Canelo was bigger. He didn't care that the odds leaned the other way. He walked in with the belief that his tools worked on anyone, anywhere. And on fight night, that belief turned into evidence. Max went even further. This is what separates champions from legends. Champions defend what they have. Legends go hunting for danger because they know that's the only way to carve their name into stone. Crawford went hunting and he came back with the biggest trophy in the sport. It was a chilling assessment because it stripped away the excuses. You couldn't lean on size, you couldn't lean on age, you couldn't lean on decline. You had to accept what your eyes showed you. A fighter with total confidence in himself, dismantling one of the best of his generation. And that's why Max ended his breakdown with words that landed heavy.
The 8th round, it looked like Canelo Alvarez almost wanted to walk off at one point.
Yeah, I mean, he was frustrated, and it is frustrating to try and fight a guy, and you want to fight, but this guy's moving well, and Crawford was moving too well.
What's next for Canelo?
Nobody called Bud's name for years. Tonight, the world can't stop saying it. Whenever a superstar loses, the excuses come out fast. Age, wear and tear. Weight, motivation, fans scramble to soften the blow to explain the unexplainable. But in this fight, every one of those escape routes collapsed under the spotlight. Take age, the easy headline was, Canelo is slowing down. But here's the catch, Crawford is older than Canelo, not younger, not fresher.
Tonight, did we not? That's all that matters. Two guys risked it, and the better man won tonight. That was Crawford.
Terrence got it right. Is there no need for a rematch, or do you want to see running back? Because it was pretty good, like you said.
No, it was pretty, it was really good, actually. So it's up to the Jam. He's a Jam. He can do whatever he wants.
What do you think happens with Canelo next after this?
What happens to Canelo after this? It don't matter. He's made a big statement for not only Mexico or the pride of Mexico, but for all Latinos right there. So he's done a great job for himself, man. Nevertheless, Crawford is on his way, continuing to create greatness.
Older. So if age was the deciding factor, then what you really watched was an older man dismantling a younger one. That flips the narrative entirely. Then there's size. For weeks, the talk was, Crawford's too small. He's jumping into a division where guys carry different power. But when the final bell rang, who was backing up who was pushing forward in the later rounds, Crawford didn't look undersized. He looked like he was the stronger fighter, the one imposing his rhythm, the one deciding where the exchanges happened. And what about wear and tear? Canelo's resume is long. 67 professional fights, wars with the likes of Gennady Golovkin, Miguel Cotto, Sergey Kovalev. Yes, the miles are there, but Crawford isn't exactly untested. 41 fights, most of them dominant, but with his own grind through weight classes. The difference wasn't experience. The difference was adaptation. Analysts like the Wade Concept nailed it.
To say things that maybe were not true. You know, Terrence just fought a great fight, man. You can't... Virtuoso fight, the kind of fight that we're not going to see for a while, and there's nobody out there that can give Terrence that kind of test again. And when you have a great fighter that has put up another great fighter, and it happens like this, is you just have to bow your head and, you know, that's the king right now.
People were rushing to write off Canelo as faded just to protect the story they told themselves before the fight. But Crawford shut that down. Because here's the truth. If Canelo really was too old, too slow, too spent, then why did almost no one predict this outcome before the bell? Why did so many dismiss Crawford as too small, too light, too late? You can't have it both ways. Crawford's victory wasn't about Canelo falling off a cliff. It was about Crawford climbing higher. That's why excuses ring hollow. And that's what Stephen A. and Max both kept circling back to. Greatness is about who you beat when you beat them and how you beat them. And in every category, Crawford checked the box in bold ink. So when you hear the murmurs of, Canelo didn't look like himself, the counter is simple. No, Crawford made him look like that. And once you accept that, you have to face the bigger truth. Crawford's skill set isn't limited by divisions. It's transferable, adaptable, and lethal anywhere. If you want to understand why this night mattered, don't just watch the highlight reel. Watch the small things, the subtleties that built the bigger picture. Start with the jab. Crawford's jab wasn't just a measuring stick, it was the engine of control. Time after time, Canelo tried to close the gap with his usual slow burn, inching forward looking to set up combinations. But Crawford's jab broke the rhythm. Snap, reset, snap, reset. By the numbers, Crawford outjabbed Canelo by a ridiculous margin. Some analysts called it 10-1, maybe even 20-1. That's not normal against a fighter who thrives on timing entries. That's domination of the first principle in boxing, control with the lead hand. Then the feet, southpaw stance gave Crawford natural angles, but it was his choices that turned them into weapons. He kept his lead foot outside of Canelo, forcing Canelo into awkward positions. Every time Canelo tried to step in with the right hand, he found himself reaching off balance and vulnerable to the counter left.
Everything was perfect. He did what he moved around. He kept his feet moving, made it hard for Canelo to get in clean shots in, but he wasn't running from him. He was just moving his feet. And, he did an excellent job. I mean, all the way around. He did what he was supposed to do. He fought him on the inside. He pushed him a little bit. He fought him on the outside. He fought him everywhere. He did what he was supposed to do to beat the champion, hats off to Crawford, So I was totally fooled because I thought maybe he was going to be too heavy and probably slow down where Canelo could hit him. And even when Canelo hit him, it wasn't like it was any kind of damage or anything. I mean, it was, they're hard shots, but, it wasn't like it did anything to him. So
And when he did throw, Crawford was already halfway out the side door, circling away, making him chase shadows. And then the traps. This is where Crawford's genius really showed. He didn't just defend, he baited. Leaning on the ropes, letting Canelo come forward, then rolling under hooks and spinning out. Catching body shots on the elbow, then firing back with sharp counters. There were moments where Crawford seemed to be 2 moves ahead, almost like he'd written Canelo's script before the bell. Carl Froch, the former champion, highlighted this perfectly. Around rounds 6 and 7, Crawford made the adjustment. He stopped just dictating pace from the back foot. He pressed forward. He started bullying Canelo in close, taking away the comfort zone Canelo usually owns.
Today I get some rounds with the GOAT. One of the GOATs. You know what I mean? 2 GOATs. Iron sharpened iron.
Suddenly, the man known for walking opponents down was being walked back himself. And once Crawford sensed that shift, he never let it go. The most telling part, Crawford never looked rushed, he never looked desperate. His offense was clean, his defense tight, and his counters sharp. He didn't swing wild, he didn't gamble for knockouts. He stuck to 1s, 2s, and 3s, efficient, precise, effective. That's why by the later rounds, Canelo's face was marked up, his breathing heavy, and his body language frustrated. What you saw wasn't brute force. It was ring IQ. It was preparation. It was the rare sight of a superstar running out of answers because the man in front of him had already solved the puzzle before the pieces hit the table. We talked about Shakur Stevenson, Dan Rafael, and Bomac, but they weren't the only ones weighing in. The wider boxing community had their say and the themes overlapped. Respect for Canelo, awe for Crawford, and a recognition that excuses wouldn't cut it this time. Analysts pointed out that Canelo did have moments. He landed to the body here and there, pressed forward in spurts, and even tried to ramp up aggression around the 7th and 8th rounds. But each time he tried to light a fire, Crawford doused it with calm precision. The image that stuck with so many was Crawford on the ropes, letting Canelo unload, then slipping, rolling, and firing back as if the danger didn't even register.
Nigga, I felt like I wanted to cry in that. Nah, no bullshit, because it's like you get to see somebody's come up from fucking the start, like, and then somebody that really like supported me from day one. Like I want him to win more than I'll be wanting myself to win.
Fighters know how rare that is. Most men under Canelo's pressure tighten up, get desperate, or try to clinch. Crawford, he invited it, and then he punished it. That's why so many younger fighters called it a masterclass, because it wasn't brute resistance, it was surgical control. Shakur said it best, greatness isn't built in the ring, it's revealed in the ring. What the world saw against Canelo was years of discipline, years of consistency, years of preparation showing up when the lights were brightest. And that brings us to the reality check. Because while Crawford's stock soared, the fight also forced a hard look at what comes next for Canelo Alvarez. Make no mistake, this wasn't the end of Canelo Alvarez. But it was a turning point. For years, Canelo has been the man in control. He fought the names he wanted at the weights he wanted when he wanted. He was the A-side in every negotiation, the pay-per-view king, the global star. Fighters didn't just want to beat him, they wanted the payday that came with sharing a ring with him. That's why this loss feels different. Not because it erases his legacy, his resume is still stacked with titles across multiple divisions, but because it forces him into a position he hasn't faced in a long time, chasing answers. Canelo's strengths are still there, his chin held up, his body shots still carried thud. His experience kept him dangerous in every round, but the gaps were visible, the foot speed, the inability to cut off the ring, the reliance on single shots rather than combinations. Crawford didn't expose flaws nobody knew about, he magnified them on the biggest stage. And now the crossroads is clear.
For bro, cause bro really a real nigga. Like, he ain't just no celebrity, he's really a real nigga. Like, outside of this boxing shit, nigga, that nigga's a real nigga.
Does Canelo adapt? Does he change trainers, tweak strategies, or reinvent himself the way greats like Bernard Hopkins or Manny Pacquiao did later in their careers? Or does he continue on the same path, knowing the younger generation, the Benavideses, the Charlo brothers, the Morals are circling? Fans are split. Some say Canelo still beats most of the division and just ran into a historically great fighter on a historic night. Others say the decline is real and irreversible. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. Canelo is still elite, but he's not untouchable. And for a fighter who built his aura on inevitability, that shift matters. One thing is undeniable. Crawford forced the boxing world to see Canelo differently. Not as the mountain nobody climbs, but as a man who can be moved back, made to miss, and beaten clean. That doesn't erase his greatness, but it does reshape it. And that brings us to the final piece of this puzzle. What this all means for legacy, for history, and for the future of boxing. So what did we actually witness on that night? Not a fluke, not a fade, a legacy move. Terrence "Bud" Crawford walked into a heavier division, faced one of the most decorated champions of the last 20 years, and made it look like a calculated exercise. He didn't just win on the scorecards, he won the narrative, he won the respect. He won the right to have his name etched into conversations that once felt off-limits, conversations about all-time greatness. Stephen A. said it best, he came to take it. Max Kellerman sharpened the point, this is what legends do. And the analysts filled in the gaps with jab stats, footwork breakdowns, and counterpunch clinics. But when you strip it all back, the truth is simple. Crawford took on the hardest possible version of this fight, and he passed with flying colors. For Canelo, the journey continues. He's not done, not erased, not forgotten. But the myth of invincibility is gone, and that changes how every future opponent approaches him. For Crawford, the story is wide open. He could stay at 168 and rule a new kingdom. He could look for legacy fights across divisions. He could chase names that once seemed out of reach. Whatever comes next, one fact is locked. His victory over Canelo wasn't just another W, it was a redefining moment in the history of modern boxing. And that leaves us here with you, because legacies aren't just written in the ring. They're debated, argued, and remembered by fans like you. So let's put it on the table. Did Terrence Crawford just secure his place among the all-time greats? Did Canelo's aura take a hit that he can't repair? Or was this simply a passing of the torch, the moment where one era gave way to another? Drop your thoughts in the comments, argue your case, defend your scorecard. And while you're at it, hit like, smash subscribe, and join the conversation, because nights like these don't just make history, they demand to be remembered.